The wind rose. In the very last scene, the Kyushi single-seat fighter plane flies at 240 knots, and Kurokawa says, "This can't be real!" So everything in this world is connected, and there's never a dull moment. So I hope you'll enjoy my lecture. After the mackerel incident, Jiro graduates from Tokyo University as the top student and is hired by a company making internal combustion engines, which is now the Mitsubishi Aircraft Corporation. He goes to Nagoya to make airplanes. During his journey, he notices people walking along the railroad track, a large crowd of people. But when a train approaches, they all run away. When Jiro asks Honjo who they are, he tells him that they are all on their way to the cities to look for work. So you see, Jiro basically knows nothing. He doesn't know what's going on in the world. Honjo is smarter, and he tells Jiro everything. Who are they? They are the unemployed. What are they doing? They're all going to the bank. Honjo is the Jiminy Cricket. Most citizens cannot afford to go on a train, so they walk for days to get to Nagoya. But the two take a taxi to work. The company pays. From the taxi, Jiro sees a swarm of people outside a bank trying to withdraw money. There is a bank run and everybody is rushing to the bank, but his eyes are as cold as glass, without expression. He watches a woman desperately trying to take out her money. He doesn't understand why all these people are so desperate. This is 2 years after the Great Kanto earthquake. The banks issued the draft for the companies to reconstruct their buildings, but many companies couldn't meet the repayment date, which was 2 years after the earthquake. The companies were optimistic at first, but ultimately they couldn't pay, and this is what triggered what we call the Great Showa Depression. The companies went bankrupt, one after another. Fearing default, people rushed to the banks to withdraw their funds, and the economy got even worse. Unlike the people on the streets, Jiro is very relaxed in his taxi. He stares blankly outside and says, "Oh, they look so desperate." I think this is the key note of this scene. If the government had done something to stimulate employment after the earthquake, this crisis might not have happened. But instead, the Japanese government was trying to expand its military power to invade other countries, and this was the result. So, Honjo knows that it is his duty to explain what is happening to Jiro. Honjo thinks that Japan is trying to be a leading country, and that this hardship is necessary to make that leap. He wants to make Japan great by making airplanes. He believes that enhancing military strength will make Japan wealthy, but Jiro is not thinking about this. This dialogue reminds us of Jiminy Cricket. Honjo's character is necessary to highlight Jiro as a psychopath who is only interested in planes. Next. This storyboard might be a bit hard to see. Jiro is now working in Mitsubishi. He's constantly looking at girls. In the first frame, it says Jiro is unapologetic. Jiro was late for work and was scolded by Kurokawa. But Jiro doesn't seem to mind him at all and remains very calm. In the second frame, it says Jiro's eyes wander to the left. In the third frame, it says the girls pass by. Fifth frame, Jiro is bowing to the girls and also exchanging glances with another girl. Then he even nods to a girl passing on his left side. Kurokawa is Miyazaki's favorite character, and you can see that he is a person of integrity, whereas Jiro is barely listening to him and continues to glance at the girls. So clearly, Miyazaki is trying to distance him from the audience. He tells the audience, you see, he's not very impressive. Please be critical about him by showing his faults. In a later scene where Kurokawa is talking to Jiro, Jiro can't take his eyes off the airplane. Jiro is more interested in girls and planes than in his colleagues, but he's a genius and he shows his huge ability in his work. Jiro is an uncooperative character. I use the word psychopath for Jiro, and Miyazaki doesn't like Jiro's psychopathic side. You can see that here. He never forgives Jiro, saying he's just a genius. There's another genius character, Honjo, who is not like Jiro. Miyazaki calls Jiro and Honjo the two geniuses in his essay. He doesn't accept Jiro's faults just because he's a genius. In fact, he wants to show the imperfections of Jiro Horikoshi in this film. I'll talk about his reasons for this in the second half. I talked about this scene in the trailer. He offers sweets to a girl, but she refuses. Jiro is shocked for a second. Jiro says to the girl, "Here, have some sweets. They're pretty nice." The girl looks at them, suppresses her hunger, and looks back at Jiro. Both siblings glance at the sweets, but in the next frame, the brother looks up at his sister, and she looks squarely at Jiro. Jiro doesn't understand why the girl refuses the sweets. They might be poor, but they have their pride. They don't feel good when a guy offers them food with a condescending attitude. But Jiro is so spoiled, he doesn't understand that. After this incident, Honjo visits Jiro's apartment. He abruptly walks into Jiro's apartment. We later find out that he has come to tell Jiro that he too is going to Germany, although Jiro, his rival, was chosen before him. He wants to tell Jiro that he too is chosen and brag about it, but Jiro looks very upset when he's serving tea. When Honjo asks, "What's wrong?" Jiro tells him about the sweets incident. Then Honjo says, "Well, you're a hypocrite. What did you expect? Did you think she'd be grateful and give you a big smile?" Jiro immediately answers, "No, that's not what I was thinking." But then he drops his head and says in a small voice, or maybe it is, he was truly embarrassed with himself. Although he was quick to deny it, he admits that he might have expected the pretty girl to thank him, and he is embarrassed.